Let's clear the air. What the fuck is this bitch up to in her life? I get a question about Ghost, the husky dog that we fostered. I want to spice things up and I bought a ticket to Europe. It was just like the time of realizing a lot of things, you know? 99% of the time that I was in Paris, all I would think to myself is, I wish I was home. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like it here. Those are the things that people don't really talk about when they romanticize buying a ticket and going and living in Europe. It just kind of was like, Europe isn't like that. Hey guys, it's Hailey here, and I'm so excited to be sitting down and catching up with you guys about what I've done in the past year or so, because I literally get questions from you guys on a daily basis where you guys are like, wait, when did you move there? Wait, what happened to her LA apartment? What happened to Ghost? Why is she in Paris? Where is she living now? I feel like I've been jumping around so much in the past year, and I also have been kind of like distant from YouTube. Like I haven't been uploading as regularly, so I want to sit down and kind of like be on FaceTime with you and be like, okay girl, this is what I've been up to, and have one of those like tea sessions. It'll be a good way for us to get back on the same page. I've just missed sitting down and like chatting with you guys. A lot has happened. There's a lot that I've been wanting to get off my chest. It got to a point where literally I made a list on my notes app about every single thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Let's clear the air. What the fuck is this bitch up to in her life now? Why is she moving for the 20,000th time? Okay, let's get started. Let's like take it back to my downtown LA apartment, because I moved in, I filmed my whole move-in series, daily vlog, weekly vlog, and then poof, one day the apartment was gone, and it all happened so fast. Like I'm kind of on the same page as you guys, but basically I was supposed to have that apartment for a year. I think like 8 or like 9 months into my contract, like my lease, I kind of just dipped. I moved out of that apartment. I put everything I own in a storage unit and I left for the summer, and this was summer last year, and I spent the entire summer kind of just like in Europe. I was seeing family in Turkey. I was traveling with Tom. So that was like last summer when I was like in Amsterdam and stuff, if you guys remember, if you recall. And that was like a super fun summer. This couch that I'm sitting on right now, everything that you saw in my downtown LA apartment was moved, and like that apartment was like no longer mine. So I didn't like completely stay in my downtown LA apartment for the entire lease. So after spending the summer in Europe, in the fall, I decided to go back to school. I get so many questions about my school situation. Like, did she drop out? Did she graduate? Like, what is going on? Do you still go to UCSB? Like, are you gonna live in Santa Barbara? And it is kind of a jumble of things. I'm still enrolled. I've always been enrolled, even when I'm not in school. The UC system is great in the fact that like it lets you take an unlimited number of leave of absences, so I can basically like put my school on pause, do my own thing, and then go back whenever I want to, which is kind of like the biggest blessing that I've had, because I've probably done like 3 or 4 leave of absences. I'm in a leave of absence right now. Spoiler alert, we're gonna get to what the fuck I'm up to right now, like towards the end of the video, because I'm gonna take you guys through like this timeline of my life. I decided to go back to school in the fall, and I decided to study abroad. I actually applied to 2 study abroad programs back to back because I just like no longer wanted to be in America. Kind of was over the whole LA scene. Nothing against really LA, I just kind of was like bored there, and I felt like I wasn't like living life on the edge anymore. I want to spice things up, and I bought a ticket to Europe. So I did 2 study abroad programs back to back, which a lot of people also, if you're in college, you might not be aware that there isn't like a limit, at least in the UC system, of how many times you can go study abroad. So I applied to my first program in London. You guys saw some of my London vlogs. I was there for like fall quarter, and then after London I also applied to Paris, and the plan was I was gonna go to London on my own, and then for the winter, which was the beginning of this year, like literally like January, February, March of this year, I was gonna go to Paris, and Tom was also gonna go study abroad in Paris. So we did long distance while I was in London for like 3 months. I actually filmed like an entire sit down video about my London experience. I will link that down below if you guys want to go check it out. It also like gets into the nitty-gritty of like how study abroad works, how much it costs me, like what my living situation was like. I kind of like gave you guys like a breakdown. At first it was really difficult because I was living in the same city as my family. I hadn't really been that far from them ever, and I am very independent, but I think I was just kind of like a little overwhelmed because I was doing this whole entire journey on my own. Like I didn't have any friends that I went with. It was like a solo mission for me, and the first first few weeks was kind of brutal. Like, actually, I'm not gonna say the first few weeks. It was like 2 weeks where I was really like adjusting to this new life. Like, I literally had like the most gorgeous 2-bedroom apartment that I was obsessed with, and I had so much of my own space. Like, I was just like very comfortable in the way that I was living. I like had really adjusted to that lifestyle, whether I noticed or not. Overnight, I went to like living in like a small tiny 2-bedroom apartment with like 3 other girls. You guys need to go back and watch like my first few vlogs. Like, that flat was really made me feel like a college student again. Like, I hadn't really like had roommates since freshman year. It kind of felt like a dorm situation. Like, everyone on the block was like study abroad kids from all these different universities coming in from America. Even though it took a little bit of time to adjust, at the end of it, I literally had the best time of my life. If you're in college and you're debating whether or not you should study abroad, I would say go for it. I also would hear a lot of people saying like, you know, study abroad is the best time of your fucking life. Like, you're gonna have so much fun there. Like, you know, that's kind of like usually how people talk about it. So at first I felt a lot of pressure when I was in London to like kind of match up to that expectation that I'd always had from other people's experiences, which kind of like made me a little stressed out. I was like, you know, is this the most fun I'm having? Like, should I be doing more, blah, blah, blah. But once I let go of like trying to keep up with anyone and just kind of like really focusing on myself, I would say like London was 3 to 4 months of like full growth for me. Learned a lot about myself. I was very independent. I figured out how to live there. Like, I think it was like a moment of revelation for me where I was just like, damn, I moved across the ocean on my own, not knowing a single soul, having no idea who I'm gonna live with, and I just made the best of it. I had my ups and downs, but I did it. I figured it out. I was just really proud of the progress that I did there. So even if you go to study abroad and it's not like, you know, staying out until like 6 a.m. with all the homies and like getting drunk and like blah, 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 like all these like cliches that we have about like a normal college kid study abroad experience, when you truly like make it your own, I think it's worth it at the end. Even if it's a hard time, you're gaining life experience, you're learning things about yourself. The more I can get out of life, the more I feel like I'm living, and that's kind of like my goal. Like, I really don't want to be like this passive person that like gets through life and then looks back sometime in the future and is like, damn, like I wish I did more. Like, that's one of my biggest fears. It was just like the time of realizing a lot of things, you know? Like, big moment of pat myself in the back and like, damn girl, you did it. I felt really good at the end of my time in London. I was really excited for Paris because I was like, okay, I get to do all of these same things with Tom now and meeting new people, new experiences, new culture, new language, new city. Like, let's do it again. And I was super sad when I was leaving London. I kind of made a little home to myself while I was there. The little tiny room that I hated to begin with because it was actually the size of my coffee table in LA. I really had that Hannah Montana moment when she like moves out of her first Malibu house and she's like looking back and she's like, oh yeah. Like, that was me, like leaving London. I guess I like did it in a British accent though. I was like, oh yeah. You know, it was just like wholesome moments for me. That's kind of how I finished off last year. And then set the scene, we're in Paris. It's 2022. I actually moved on New Year's Eve, so like started the year off in Paris. Tom came, met up with me, and it was the 2 of us. And then we had another dude who was our roommate. He was like also a study abroad student coming in that Tom had met while I was in London. Like, he met him in Santa Barbara. It was the 3 of us living in the 11th arrondissement, which is like close to the République, if you know anything about Paris. It was a completely different vibe than London. I literally moved to Paris, and then my winter quarter of school started like 3 days after I moved. School-wise, Paris was definitely a little bit more rigorous than my London school. Like, London, I literally only had school 3 times a week for 2 hours, and it didn't even feel like school. Like, it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I had a 4-day weekend every single weekend, so it kind of felt like I was more so just like a part of this mini program that didn't really matter a lot, and then I was living life in London. But Paris was kind of switched because it was more school. It actually felt a little bit more like real to me. After talking to so many people that live in Paris that are like French, like meeting French people, like they all kind of said to me like, you kind of moved to Paris at the worst time someone could live in Paris. Like, January, February, March are like the coldest months in Paris. The cold was kind of miserable for me. I did not film a single vlog while living in Paris, and that was so not what I wanted to do. Like, I wanted to be able to like document the whole experience, kind of like what I did in London, even more so. Like, I wanted to like fully take it in, but I never for a moment in Paris felt like settled and comfortable in the way that I was living. I think rooming with a different guy, if Sam, if you're watching this, what's up? Whether you like it or not, if it's someone that you've never met and it's like a dude and you're like living together and like we just never really got super comfortable with each other, I would be at school the whole day, and when you're out and you're like doing shit, like you're already out of your comfort zone because literally you're in a different city where people are speaking a different language to you. Like the minute you step out of your house, it is a challenge. It is figuring out the metro station in French, and it is going to order a coffee in French. It's not easy. It could have been an English speaking country like the way that it was in London. It still was a challenge like the first few weeks to like adapt to a place, and I never really got there. Even when I was leaving, I never for a second felt like comfortable in the city. Like I was always on edge. I think because I was feeling so much discomfort, it was really hard to like want to vlog and like document what I was going through because I wasn't really that happy. I had happy moments where I met people, I went out with friends, like those were some of like the exciting moments that I had, but my day-to-day regular life, I was just a little sad. And I think one of the things that was making me really sad was I just had such a happy chunk of time in London where I felt so confident and independent, just like whole in myself, that when I saw the way that I was shift when I got to Paris, I kind of felt like I was losing progress, or I was just kind of like looking back and being like, wait, like I was doing so good. What happened? Like why am I all of a sudden unhappy? Why am I uncomfortable all the time? I think it also had to do with my relationship. It just wasn't like the smoothest ride for us in Paris because again, like these are challenging situations. These are situations where you are taking on something new. Like it's not supposed to come easy to you. It was rocky, bumpy as fuck. I don't want to like dive all into the details of it because at the end of the day, it is like a private thing between two people, and I know Tom's watching this. The way that we were in LA, like in my vlogs, this like infinite comfort between two people was kind of lost in Paris. It's not even to blame the city. Like when people ask me like, how was Paris? I can never be like, you know, wow, it was the most beautiful time of my life and it was magical and Paris is the city of love and whatever. Like, why am I doing a British accent? I'm talking about Paris. When people ask me, I'm like, I had such a shitty time. I don't want to blame the entire city. I will say the French did make it a little bit harder. They really did. Maybe if they were a little nicer, it would have been a little smoother of an experience. I'd just be having a shitty day and I'd want to go get a fucking croissant and just chill. Like there was always someone making a mean comment that would just like shit on my day. I'm not here complaining, like I chose this and I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad that I had so much discomfort while I was there. Anything that life throws at you that's challenging, you're gonna grow through it and you're gonna learn something new and you're gonna like end up being stronger. As Kelly Clarkson says, what doesn't kill you does indeed build strength. I don't know, we were just always fighting, and which was so strange to me because that hadn't been the case for so long in our relationship. 99% of the time that I was in Paris, all I would think to myself is, I wish I was home. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like it here. I wish I was with my friends. I wish I had my family. Like I literally remember sitting on my bed crying probably more than 5 times, being like, I wish my mom was here to give me a hug. Those are the things that people don't really talk about when they romanticize buying a ticket and going and living in Europe. Sometimes you have clouds over your head, and for me it was really hard to step out of it. I did meet some really cool people. I made some really nice friendships. For the general gist of it, it just wasn't a vibe, you know? Pas du tout. Every time it felt like it was getting good, it would just get bad again, and then that happened so many times that I kind of like gave up on having this Parisian fantasy come to life, and I kind of wanted to just be home. I was so over it. I will say like my last month there, when the weather did get nicer, I like got to see how living in Paris could be such a fun, beautiful experience. Maybe I should have gone in like April, May, June, all those summer months. Those parks are beautiful when the sun is shining, I will tell you. People are out eating cheese, drinking wine. That was great. I had a lot of inner reflective time with myself. My journal got way fatter when I was in Paris, let me tell you. Probably because of all my tears just falling onto the paper. I would go to parks, reflect on my relationship for a really long time, like 2.5 years, like that's a long time. It just kind of was like, and then I pieced the fuck out of Paris and I went back to LA on my own. I was like, Y'all keep living here. Y'all keep living here. That is, I guess, my little mini insight as to why I was so MIA on YouTube while I was living in Paris, why I didn't pick up the camera, not even once. Like, I literally had a graphic designer make a whole ass intro for my YouTube channel for when I was in Paris, because that's how excited I was to be documenting my life there. And then I got there and I was just like, I don't want to film myself crying every day. Once March ended, beginning of April, I came back to LA. I went to go stay with my parents because obviously I no longer had my downtown LA apartment. I lived with them for like a month. That's kind of like when I was seeing friends again. I went to Coachella, seeing my parents. Like, I was loving life because I had a month of just being able to be surrounded by my support system that I really lacked when I was in Paris. And this is not to like really put blame on like Tom or like, you know, the people that I was surrounded with in Paris. I think it's really hard for any single person to be a support system for other people when they themselves are out of their own comfort zone. It was just really nice having family time again, seeing all my friends again that I missed for so long because I hadn't seen them in like over 6 months at this point. And it was just nice being in America, you guys. Like, I just really missed a venti iced oat matcha latte. Like, if you ask for a large latte in Paris, you're getting something this small. Like, I was basically like Emily in Paris. Like, I shat on this bitch Emily for the longest time. Then when I was there, I was like, I get it. I get why homegirl wants a bit of America with her. We are so accustomed to the convenience of living in America and we don't even realize, if you take a few steps back, I don't know if it's necessarily a good or bad thing, how easy everything is. Like, you can literally like go on Amazon right now, order something, and it'll be at your door tomorrow morning, and you'll probably have 2,000 options to choose from. Like, these are things we don't even think about, like the consumerism aspect of it. Or like you being able to go into a Target and buy groceries, toilet paper, clothes, a printer, a carpet, all in one huge store. Like, Europe isn't like that. Your options are limited. Everything is smaller. You don't have a car to be able to fill up for the week and then go drive home. You go to the market, you buy what you need for like the next 2-3 days, and then you come home. And after a while, I learned to appreciate that. But I will say, when I did come back, I did give myself a little bit of time to enjoy the lavish of consumerism for just a little bit. Now I'm back on track. Fuck capitalism again. Okay, well, she tried out London, she tried out Paris. I don't want to live in Europe. I want to stick to the United States. Also, when it came to work things, working out of America is just a lot easier for me. Building relationships with brands in Europe takes time. Like, you need to like, you know, set up your network, you know, like, holy shit, there is a huge ass cruise ship. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life to see a cruise ship go down the Hudson River. There she is. I'm gonna do a cruise for my birthday, by the way. I'll tell you later. I like didn't really get a lot of work when I was over there, or like if I did, it was coming from the US where they would have to ship me the product. I wasn't really like building relationships with brands based out of Europe, which does take a little bit of time. Kind of just felt like being in the US right now was just a better idea for my career. Also, America is a lot more work oriented than we notice. I just like felt very much motivated to like get back to work, get back on my YouTube grind, like really do this to my fullest potential. But I did not want to be in LA. And you guys have known I've kind of been hinting at wanting to move to New York basically since I was 8 years old. Like, I opened up my channel in 2012. You'll probably find a video from me like from 10 years ago talking about how I want to live in New York City. My sister obviously lives out here. She goes to NYU. She just finished her freshman year. She's moving out of the dorms, and she was like, okay, like, would you want to live together? And I was like, would you want to live together? First, she didn't want to live with me, but then she came around and she was like, okay, fine, I'll live with you. So my family went apartment hunting out here in New York City, and they found a 2-bedroom that we wanted to live in. So we applied. Our application went through, and then after that, everything happened really fast. A lot of you have been asking me, like, what are your parents gonna do? Like, are they still in LA? Like, are they still living here? Because my mom has been posting about moving and stuff. And my parents no longer live in the United States of America. My dad never wanted to live in the United States of America. He's not a mega fan, as one would say. Rightfully so. Have you been watching the news? Basically, his plan was, okay, I'm gonna move to the US to give my kids a better future. Once they're on their own 2 feet, we're piecing out. I don't want to live here. That was like my dad's plan, like when we moved to LA in 2015, like that's kind of where his mind was at. And obviously now we were at a point where my sister is in college. I'm on my own 2 feet. Like, I've been living alone for a while now. That was his cue to kind of like go. So he left pretty quickly. Like, as soon as we found the apartment in New York and the application was signed, he was like, all right, y'all are good. My parents packed up our place in Beverly Hills. They sold a lot of their things, like the furniture and stuff, and then they got out and they actually moved to Athens. That's another question I've been getting a lot. Like, why do your parents live in Athens? Like, why Greece? Like, it's kind of random. I think it's because they didn't want to go back to Turkey because Turkey isn't in its prime at the moment. Hasn't been for a while, but especially right now, like economically speaking, lifestyle wise, it's a difficult country to live in, especially after living in the US for so long, where you're so used to things being a lot easier. My Turkish followers always get mad at me for shitting on Turkey like this, but then I know they shit on Turkey too on their own time. So they didn't want to go back to Turkey. Turkey and Greece, especially like where I'm from in Turkey, like the very west coast, like I'm from Izmir, very similar cultures, the same types of cuisines, the same type of lifestyle, both beach towns. I guess it's like their version of being as close to Turkey as they can while still like being in like a European country. I don't know if that's like their long-term plan, like to settle down in Athens forever, but for the moment it just like felt right to them. My mom will obviously go back and forth and like come visit us. Like she already has her plane ticket to come to New York and like stay with us for a few weeks in like November, but I really am curious to see how their next few years are gonna roll out. In the meantime, we moved out here to New York, as you guys have seen in my recent moving vlogs. Living life here. It's been like a little over a month and I've been loving it. I don't really know a lot of people in New York, but I've had so many friends come and visit and we've gotten to do so many things around the city and I've just had the best time. I actually literally have to go to the airport in like an hour because I leave for Europe for a month. I'm going to Turkey. I'm going to be spending a few weeks there and then I go back to London because that was definitely on my like bucket list to go to London this summer. That's how much I miss it. Like I think about London on a daily basis. Like I am fucking obsessed with that city and I really just wanted to like experience it in the summertime. So I'm going there to stay with my friend Phoenix. After spending a week in London, me and my girlfriends were going to Mykonos, having a little vacay moment there, and then I come back to New York City like mid-August to live my city girl life. I think once I come back to New York after summer vacation, I feel like it's gonna hit me where I'm gonna be like, okay, wait, I live here. Like I literally have no ties left to LA except for all my friends and stuff, but like I don't really have a place to stay in LA. Like LA no longer is home. LA really felt like home to me out of any of the places I've ever lived in because I did spend the most years back to back living in a city in LA and I went to high school there. I did like college in California, so it was kind of like a heartbreaking moment where I was like, damn, like I'm leaving my first home that I've ever known. That's okay because New York is very exciting. I'm really excited to like foster that new relationship with the city and like start feeling like this is my home, and I know it's gonna take a few years before that happens. Just living life for the plot. A little hectic, I will admit, but I'm ready to like just not move. I have packed my motherfucking suitcase way too many times in the past 365 days. I need a break. Even my suitcases are like, bro, leave us alone. I'm not complaining, but I am a little tired and I'm ready to just like get back into like work mode, routine mode. Obviously after the next month of just like gallivanting around. A lot of you have been asking me if I'm still with Tom. We're no longer together. I feel like maybe you already got that out of this entire story that I already told you. I still have so much love for him. I want nothing but the best for him. I'm so excited to see him thrive in the future. When you have a truly meaningful relationship with someone, you can't just like wipe that away. It definitely was a meaningful relationship. But yeah, now you guys can stop asking me. Also, college. What the fuck am I doing with college? So after my 2 quarters of studying abroad, I officially finished my junior year. Well, technically, I'm supposed to have graduated already. I was class of 2022. Or at least that's what I told myself when I first started college. And now it seems like I might be class of some other year. I'm definitely doing it at my own pace. Like I'm gonna take a few more classes in the fall, but I'm not gonna be like a full-time college student. I'm definitely not going back to Santa Barbara. I finessed the shit out of that school in all the right ways. I'm not doing anything wrong, but if they're offering online classes at a different UC that's gonna transfer this credit to UCSB and still count as like residential units, you bet your ass I'm gonna take advantage of that. I'm basically figuring it out, you guys. I technically have 1 year worth of classes before I graduate, and I've gone so far that I feel like it would be lame of me to just like give up now. Like 3 years done, like I can just push myself to do like 9 more classes and then be done with school and like get my diploma that I'm probably never gonna use in my fucking life. But at least it'll just be like a checkbox that I've ticked and then I can just move on with my day. I get in these zones of wanting to learn. Every time I get in that zone, I go back to college and take a few classes. And then once I'm like, okay, I can just like just work and like relax for a little from school, then I just like take time off. That's kind of like the method that I figured out for myself that's worked thus far. And then finally, sorry, like there was no space in the storyline to like fit this in, but I get a question about Ghost, the husky dog that we fostered at least once a day. What happened to Ghost? Where's Ghost? And the reason that we couldn't like sit and like be super honest about what happened to Ghost is because technically we did something that wasn't very legally right. We ran into so many problems with the dog adoption company that was like kind of his sponsor, like our sponsor. We obviously built this really emotional relationship with this dog and we just wanted the best for him, and they would literally have people come and like see him to try to get him adopted with people that were like, this is not a good match. Like this person is not gonna work out. And I get it, like they're trying to get all these dogs into homes, so they're living this really busy, like they have so much going on. When you truly care about a dog so much, especially because we had him for like 3 months, which is a long time to like be fostering a dog. You know, usually you just foster for a few weeks and then it gets adopted. But obviously Ghost was like a difficult dog. Like he had a lot of trauma. He was 3. He had a lot of separation anxiety from us. He's a big ass dog, like very strong, not trained whatsoever. They would like have these people come and like meet him that would want to adopt him, and we would literally be like, no, like you don't get it. Like this person's gonna have this dog for a week and then return him, and it's just gonna add more trauma to this dog's plate. And they kind of were like trying to get us out of the picture, and we were like, bitch, this dog is my baby. Like, don't tell me what to fucking do with him, okay? So like, we just didn't have the best relationship with the adoption company. And then we found this perfect family, you guys. Like, literally a family that fell out of the sky, like from heaven. Like, they already had so many dogs. They lived on this big ass ranch, and like, they had so many kids. Like, the most wholesome, perfect family that you can literally think of. And they had 2 other husky mixed dogs. Like the perfect scenario. The only thing was they lived in Texas. We talked to the adoption company, and they were like, no, a family from Texas is not adopting him. Apparently legally, like it needs to stay within the same state or some shit like that. We were just mad, and we were like, you know what, fuck this adoption company. They don't know what they're talking about. So me and Tom literally drove this dog to Texas for like 2 days. Like we went on this huge ass road trip. The family met the dog, fell in love with the dog. The dog fell in love with them. The dog became besties with their dogs. The dog was living, Ghost was living his life. I literally was just like, how did we just create this perfect scenario? Like we saved this dog from the day that it was literally gonna be euthanized to now living in the most perfect scenario. He's living the dream. We just like stopped talking to the adoption company. They found out that we did this. I don't know how. They called me and they were like yelling at me, and they were like, why the fuck did you do this, blah blah blah. And I literally went on this 2-hour rant where I got so emotional. Like I was literally crying. I was like, you don't get it, like this is our baby, like he needs to have the perfect life. Like you guys were trying to get him adopted by people that literally don't even have a yard. And the lady was still really mad at me. But then it got to a point where like, what are they gonna do? They're not gonna go to Texas, bring the dog back. Like, so they kind of just like let it go. But that's kind of the reason why we just like weren't really talking about it on my YouTube channel, because I was like, I don't know if she's gonna like go watch my shit. You know, I just like wanted to kind of be like low key about it. Now that it's been like over a year, this dog is literally still living its best life, and I haven't heard of these adoption people for so long. I like finally have told you the story, so. Okay, well, that was a great little catch up. Now you guys know exactly what's been going on. I feel like we're on the same page. I just really needed to do this with you guys. I've been kind of like processing everything on my own, and I was finally ready to just like have this chit chat session with you guys. Thank you so much for coming to our therapy session. I missed you guys. I'm so excited for this next chapter of my life. I'm gonna be a New York City girl, living with my sister, working, making moves, living life. That's the goal. I love you guys so much. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed already. I will see you guys in my next video. I love you so much. All the way to Pluto and back.